We're all going to fail at some point in our lives, at something. 99.9999 repeating percent of the time, when people go out and try to achieve things, there is going to be some amount of failure. But that's a good thing. Failure is necessary in order to teach you the lessons, to be that building block that you need to get to where you want to go. So the question is, what I want to talk to you about today is, have you ever thought about what it takes to have a successful relationship with failure? We're going to have a relationship with it anyway. We're going to experience it. Why not try to win the pants off of failure and use it to our advantage? So today, I'm going to talk about this concept, what it is. I'm going to talk about why failing is important. Then I'm going to give you 5 tips on how to succeed with failure and how to use failure to your advantage and really just, like I said, win the pants off of failure. So, what is it? In a nutshell, failure is the lack of success. You have a goal, you try to reach that goal, and you don't make it. That's failure. Now, the problem is, a lot of times, we see failure as a demoralizing event that we take personally. It will lower our self-esteem. We become afraid of failure. We see it as a sign that we shouldn't pursue our goals, and we give up. And that leads on a further step to never wanting to try again. We'll become afraid of it. We'll do anything we can to avoid failure, including not setting out on in the first place to try to get where we want to be. And that's bad. That's a bad thing. When it's actually the converse that's true. Failure, the more you do it, the closer you get to where you want to be, the more you've learned, and the stronger you become in your efforts, the more well-rounded person you become through failure. I would even go as far as arguing that failure is absolutely necessary if you want to reach your goals. The worst thing that can happen is you go out, you try to achieve something, or you work in a job, or you go for something that you want, and you're either mediocre, so you don't receive any positive or negative feedback. Everything's just okay. Or you experience limited success. And limited success sometimes can be a little bit more insidious because you get small signs of positive feedback. You think you're doing right. And that forces you into a comfort zone from which it's difficult to grow. So with failure, you get a very clear sign of what hasn't worked, but as well as what has worked. And I'm going to dive into that here in just a few minutes. But think about it. If you're going to go along and you do just okay at something, or you succeed at it to a limited amount, you're never going to be pushed to take it to the next level and really reach where you want to go. And to me, that's to be avoided. That's something that's bad. Failure is necessary. Failure is a good thing. Failure is actually what you want. It really is. Have I failed at things? Of course. Have I learned from it? Yes, absolutely. Is it difficult to come back? No, but it can be done. Nothing in life is easy. So we're going to talk about how to set yourself up to use failure, to push through, to commit, and to get to where you want to go. Okay, so 5 tips. How to master failure. Number 1, this is easy. If you don't quit, you win. That's it. That's all it is. You just keep going. You just simply push through, and every day you take another step. You wake up, you go back to that job, you work on your hobby, you work on your personal business, you try to make yourself a better person, whatever it is, just don't stop. And as long as you don't do that, as long as you don't stop, you've won. That's it. Tip 1, don't stop. Now, this isn't going to be easy. This is a lesson in perseverance, and it's difficult day after day after day to keep going and keep fighting for what you want, but that's necessary. So whatever you do, just look at it this way. All you have to do is the same thing that you've done before. Just get up and keep going. It's like planting a seed. You plant the seed and you wait, and the next day you have to wait some more, and then you wait some more, and you water it and you take care of the seed. Eventually it will grow. You won't see immediate results, and I'll even say that you don't want to see immediate results. I think sometimes it's actually best to see delayed results. And the reason is if you try something and you see immediate results, that will get you into the expectation of seeing immediate results for most of your efforts. That's not how it is. That's not the reality. Most of the time, our efforts come with the results down the road. And if you get those immediate results right away, that will cause you to expect it. And in the future, when you don't get those immediate results, you'll become discouraged or disheartened, or at the very least, it's just no fun. So immediate results are actually not to be sought after. You want the delayed results. That's a much better way to put yourself on the right track for success. Tip number 2, commit. You have to commit to this. And by that, I mean you have to throw your whole mind, your whole heart, your whole body and soul into your efforts. You have to say to yourself, come hell or high water, I'm going to make this happen. And the worst thing you can do, the antithesis to commitment, is dabbling. Now, that would be when you just say, oh, I want to be a better photographer or a better dog owner or a better parent. I'll give it a shot. I'll try every now and then. And those other times, whatever happens, happens. And you don't really give it that 100% of yourself. You're not going to improve. But what's even worse is you're going to set up bad habits. You're going to create this pattern of mediocrity that will be much more difficult to break later on down the road. Instead, what you have to say to yourself is, no matter what, I'm going to make this happen. That's commitment. You have to just be the force of nature that gets you to where you want to go, and you have to push. Now, this ties in well with tip 1 of don't give up. Not only do you never give up and you keep doing it, but you commit yourself to doing it. And those are two separate but very closely related topics. Now, the nice thing about commitment, the good thing about commitment is that it's like a muscle. The more you commit and the more you act upon your commitment, the easier it becomes. I'd say give it about 2 to 3 weeks. Let's give it 3 weeks, 21 days, for you to develop that habit of commitment. And then after that, stop for a minute, take a look at where you are, and realize how much easier whatever it is that you're doing was than 21 days ago, because you've committed, you've formed a habit, and it's become second nature. It's become routine. As an example, my dad's been doing the same thing for 53 years. And after a while, he's gotten to the point where he can't not do it. He can't stop doing his job. In fact, commitment will be a necessary part of life for you. Your activities will become your existence, and without it, you'll kind of feel angsty and itchy, like something is missing. It will go from forcing yourself to do it to being difficult not to do it. And as long as you're on the right path, pursuing what you love, that's great. So tip number 2, you got to commit, please. Tip number 3, focus only on what you want. And you have to focus on it like a laser. If there are several things out there that you enjoy, or you're doing 2 or 3 things at once, you're going to spread yourself too thin. There's only 24 hours in a day. My wife and my brother-in-law have been asking me to develop the 36-hour day for some time now. Well, let's just say it's still in R&D. I'm still working on it. So there's only so much time in a day. And even if you take tips 1 and 2, you don't quit and you commit to 2 or 3 different activities, you're simply not going to achieve the level of success with each one of those. In fact, you may never get them off the ground, because you're diverting your talents and your efforts in multiple directions, and you'll never become the master of one. You want to become a master of one trade and not the jack of all trades. That's the axiom to avoid. Don't become a jack of all trades. It just doesn't work. So pick what you want, identify your goals, and pursue those. And take a look at your motivation too while you're at it. Why do you want that one thing? And it's okay. Whatever your reason for motivation is, it's fine. If you want to achieve fame or fortune or notoriety, that's why you're doing something, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. If you love doing something because you love the process of doing it, or you enjoy the helping of others, or you enjoy the actions that go into reaching your goal, that's fantastic. Or if you're completely goal-driven and simply just want to achieve what it is that you're trying to work on, that's fine too. But pick that one thing, look at why you're doing it. And the reason why you want to look at your motivation is because once you understand your motivation, that will help you focus and stay on track to reach your goal. So focus on your goal, look at your motivation, and then go after that like a laser. Don't stop. Keep drilling away until you get it. And here's a bonus kind of mini tip to go along with focusing on what you want is observe how you're going after what it is that you want. And this is sort of like wearing a safety belt or a preventative measure in case you do have failure. Now, I'll talk about that next, but if you do encounter failure, you can use your observations to restructure and start again not if, but when failure happens, because it will happen. It's just a matter of time. And it will also help mitigate the offset or the pushback in time from failing. Tip 4, do it again. Get back up, get back on your feet and keep going. You're going to fail at some point, like I keep saying, and I'm trying to hammer that home. So when that happens, when you fail, do a post-mortem of your efforts. And if you've been sort of observing yourself along the way, you'll see what went into it, and you'll have a lot of data points. But when something doesn't work out, pick it apart, tear it apart, figure out what didn't work. Because in most efforts, in most endeavors, it's not just one thing that you're doing. There's layers, dozens, hundreds of different little subtasks or different routines or different behaviors that you're engaging in, each one of which could have led to the failure or could be a success. And you want to create two pools: what worked, what did not work. Let's say you're trying to start a small business and your small business doesn't work out. Why is that? Well, how are your time management skills? How are your interactions with other people? How are your interpersonal skills? What is your knowledge of the subject matter? Are you an expert in the field? Did you have the resources available? How were your funding sources? Did you have a business plan? Did you do enough forethought ahead of time? I could go on with everything it takes to get a small business off the ground, and I've worked with a lot of clients in my legal career, helping them start a small business. And a lot of them have certain strengths in some areas, and a lot of them don't have strengths in other areas. They're lacking. Let's say you had everything right, except, well, you're not very good with people, or you aren't good at managing or not delegating. Let's take it back. Let's say you're not very good at delegating tasks. Okay, that was your only point of failure. You tried to do everything yourself. You felt overwhelmed. You got burnt out. You got exhausted. Your business didn't work. Take everything else you have, your time management skills, your accounting skills, your bookkeeping skills, your knowledge of what it is you're doing, your trade craft. Keep those, repeat those, and maybe hire an assistant. Maybe talk to someone. Maybe study how to delegate. Maybe push some of it off to independent contractors. Hire, like for this YouTube channel, I could hire a video editor, and that would speed up my workflow. Don't try to micromanage. That's just one suggestion of taking the health. This is like an autopsy. It's an effort autopsy. Take the healthy parts of your efforts, save those, do it again, and remove the disease parts of your efforts. And do that over and over again. It's not going to happen once. Success is an iterative process. It is. It may take 2 iterations, 3 iterations. It may take a dozen. We've all heard how Thomas Edison, it took him 1,000 times to figure out what the correct filament was for a light bulb. So what he did was he learned 100 or 999 filaments that didn't work. And on that 1,000th iteration, it did work. And now we all have light. So don't give up. Commit, focus on what you want, and then do it again when you fail. After a postmortem, after you figure out what it is and how to tweak it. So make tweaks, get back on your feet and start again. Tip number 5, use your failures as a stepping stone. Now, this can be divided into 2 subparts. The first part is learning how to reframe failure and seeing it as a positive thing. And the reason is so that you don't get hung up on the emotional components of failure. You don't take it personally. You don't let it hurt your self-esteem or make you think you can't do something. We want to take a look at it as a failure, as this gigantic Willy Wonka golden ticket where you're now in the chocolate factory because you have so much information of what went wrong that you can completely reverse or tweak that to make it work right the next time. So first of all, reframe a failure in order to use it as a stepping stone. And then second, after you've done that postmortem that I talked about in episode 4, that I talked about in tip 4, learn, research, and plan how to overcome any shortcomings that you've discovered. Anything that you're not up to speed on, you can really drill down on and become a true pro at before you go at it again. And it's going to be those tweaks. It's going to be remedying the parts of your life that you may not have complete control over that's going to set you up for success and give you the best chance the next time around or the time after that or time after that. Because remember, success is iterative. It's not a one-shot done type of deal. So reframe, learn how to do something better. It's that simple. And that's tip 5. Use those failures as stepping stones for personal growth as well as professional growth. Okay, I know I said 5 tips, but I've actually have 2 more. So this will be 7 tips total. And I'm seeing a trend. I've noticed in most of my 5-tip videos, I always kind of come up with 2 more tips. I really want you guys to succeed. I really want you to take away as much knowledge and do as good in life as you possibly can. So I'm trying to give as much information from my own personal experience as I have. So 2 more tips. Tip number 6, learn. Now, this can occur at any point. You can learn before you start off on something. You can learn while you're doing something, and you can learn if you fail and have to restart it, or even if you're partially successful but still want to restart it. Learning is a continual process. The more you learn, the better at it you'll become. If the better at it you'll become, the more success you'll see. That's a very simple formula. It works. It just does. Use any source you can. YouTube is now the second most popular search engine. There's a lot of how-to videos on just anything you want to out there. Learn from YouTube. Learn from people that have been through a similar experience. Learn from books. Learn from audiobooks. Learn from trying and doing. I learned the best by simply going out and trying something after I have a base understanding of how it works. If I sit around and try to read on something for too long of a time, I see a plateau in my learning curve. I come up to speed quickly, and if I don't go out and start doing it, then it just kind of drops off. And then eventually I'll lose interest. So always keep learning, please. That's going to not only help you become a better practitioner of whatever you do, a better tradesperson, better at that interpersonal communication, better professional, whatever it is that you want to do, but it will also help keep you mentally stimulated. It'll help keep you in love with your pursuits and your goals. And that's another thing, is I've talked about this in other videos, is you want to be in love with what you do. Tip number 7, and this is one of my favorites because it is so effective, and I didn't believe this at first, but start before you're ready. Whatever it is that you want to do, start before you think you're ready for it. And what we're trying to do here is we're trying to fight perfectionism, and we're trying to fight complacency, but we're also preventing the building up of activation energy. That's what I call it. Because what will happen is, let's say you want to start on a painting. You want to start your own YouTube channel. You want to start writing a book. The longer you sit around and think about how to do it, the more practice you'll have at not doing it. Then when it comes time, you'll have a much bigger roadblock to sort of try to get around. So start before you're ready. If you wait until the moment when you feel like you have all of the information or all of the knowledge, or you're 100% ready to start, that may never happen. You're going to try to reach a level of perfection that just isn't realistic. And by sitting around and learning or waiting or thinking about doing something, you've practiced not doing it, which is more difficult to overcome down the road. So start well before you're ready. Just go out and do it, and you'll learn by doing. Tied into this tip, as well as tip number 6, is think about this. It only takes about 10% more knowledge or more skill to set yourself up as an expert above the rest of the field. That's it, just 10%. So if you can be 10% better at something, then you will be seen as a leader in what it is that you're trying to do. And you can gain that 10% knowledge just as effectively by going out and doing it as you can by trying to learn and study before you start. So that's it. Tip number 7, start well before you're ready, and you'll learn through practice, and you'll learn by not doing it right, and you'll learn by doing it right. So just go ahead, just go out there and just do it. Okay, guys, that's my 7 tips for how to win at your relationship with failure. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe and the notification button. That's your way of giving me feedback of what it is that you want to hear, letting me know if I'm giving you the right message, and helping me fine-tune this into something that's more beneficial for you guys. All right, thanks, everyone. I'll see you next time.